This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. Welcome to the Lake Stevens Sewer District Board of Commissioners meeting. Today is May 23rd, 2024, and it's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving along to agenda item number 3, the public forum. We'll go ahead and open it up at this time to anyone who wants to address the Board of Commissioners.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Sauter. I'm here about the variance for my property. If you have any questions when that comes up.
Great. You want to talk about it at that point in the agenda?
Or whenever you.
Let's do that. That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for being here. Anybody else who wants to share something with the public forum? Okay, we'll go ahead and close that and move on to agenda item number 4 for the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or corrections at this time?
Nothing from staff.
Great.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, consent items A through C.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items as listed A through C.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to old business, 6A, the resolution number 1060 of the Gamble annexation petition.
So this resolution explains the district is willing, or the Board of Commissioners is willing to consider the petition for annexing what we're calling Gamble annexation. It's in the southeast corner of the UGA off of Machias Cutoff and 123rd. There's several exhibits in the packet that show the annexation area. Engineering was able to confirm the property ownership, and it is legally, the petition's legal matches the legal sufficiency threshold, and that the property owners represent 100% of the area being annexed, and the ownership's been verified. And the resolution also sets a public hearing date so the board can hear the public's opinion about the annexation as well. The resolution's been reviewed by legal, engineering, and staff, and is recommended for approval.
Great. Any questions? I don't have any either.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 1060, which is the resolution of the Board of Sewer Commissioners determining to entertain a petition for annexation of an area contiguous to the Lake Stevens Sewer District, known as the Gamble annexation, and fixing the date for a public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. 6B, 22nd place gravity sewer change order number 1.
So this is a reconciling change order for actual materials used on the job. The change order has been reviewed by staff and engineering and is recommended for approval. The cost of that change order is $35,708.37.
I got nothing.
I don't either.
I'll make a motion approving change order number 1 of the 22nd place gravity sewer in the amount of $35,708.37.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 6C, 22nd place gravity sewer change order number 2.
Change order 2 is a change order that represents several items that were additional work that weren't anticipated or called out in the specifications or plans. There was a lot more groundwater than anticipated, which required a lot more export, import of material. Also, the records we had showing side sewer locations were not accurate, so we had located those wrong. So they were conflicting there. I will tell you that the district and our engineering team, we have negotiated this change order several times, and I think this is the most accurate depiction of what is fair and reasonable. So the staff and engineering have both reviewed it, and we recommend the change order number 2 for $50,805.74 for approval.
Okay,
I got nothing.
Me either, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 22nd place gravity sewer change order number 2 in the amount of $50,805.74.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 6D, 22nd place gravity sewer final acceptance.
So it's the district staff and our engineer's opinion that the contractor has fulfilled all the terms of the contract that they sold or that they signed with us. So we like the board to make a motion to accept the project as officially complete, and that'll allow us to send off all the notices of completion to the agencies that review such things.
Okay, looks good to me.
Perfect. With that, I'll make a motion to accept the gravity sewer final acceptance on the 22nd place project.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to new business 7A, the 2023 year-end financials.
For this one, we're going to turn it over to Dave Copeland, which is the district CPA.
All right, thank you. I believe I'm already sharing my screen, which has the independent accountant's review report on it. And I think everybody has received a copy of these financial statements. So I just want to point out on this review that this is a review opinion, which gives negative assurance. It essentially says we're not aware of any material modifications to be made to the financial statements. That is a clean review opinion and as high as it gets for a review. So we believe these are fairly stated. In preparing them this year, there was one new fairly significant accounting standard regarding subscription-based information technology arrangements. However, in analyzing yours, it was determined that that didn't apply. So that one major standard did not impact your financials. So your footnotes and things like that are almost exactly the same as in prior years. So what I want to do is just kind of point out a couple things that I look at when I kind of see how the district is doing, and then I'll open it up if you have any questions on anything in particular. So this is the balance sheet or statement of net position. And I think one of the things most people would look at is your cash position, and you compare that to your current liabilities position. And so it's substantially larger, about 30 million to 7.7. And most of that is debt payments, which is fairly significant in this district compared to others. But you are operating, this is the most, by the way, important number on the financial statement is the operating income. You are operating at a profit, which is important, especially when you add that with the debts, with the depreciation, it creates quite a bit of cash flow. And that, I believe, is important because you have such a significant amount of debt service to pay, almost $7 million. So it's important that you continue to operate at a profit, cover your depreciation, and did you generate enough cash flows to do that for the long term? This is at 10 million right now, which is about 1.3 times debt service. If you were to use a coverage ratio, the bonds do use a coverage ratio, the other loans do not, but it's important to know that you need to cover it. And I could just show you going forward, the debt service stays about the same for the next 5 years. So that's an important thing to keep going. So that's kind of what I look at when I analyze how the district is doing. It had a good year. It's everything is where it should be. And with that, I will ask if there's any questions. As I've mentioned, there's nothing new in the footnotes or anything in the current year.
Thank you very much. I have one question, and I guess one comment and one question. On page 25, when it talks about long-term debt, and the comment that, or the statement, in the event of default, Washington State Department of Ecology may at its sole discretion declare principal and interest, the state revolving loan fund, SRO, in default and immediately due on and payable. I'm just curious on that one. It seems like if you're in a position of default, now it's completely due. It must be to position for liquidation preference or something to do with that. Is that why that is in there? Because otherwise it seems a little silly.
Yeah, it's an interesting covenant, and only that particular loan, the state revolving fund loans, have it. I mean, it's common in private industry that they would declare all debt immediately due and then start liquidating a company. But in a water and sewer district, you're right. It is. It's interesting. But that would be what they would do. They'd declare it due and probably start coming after existing assets. This is one of something the state auditor actually pointed out a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other question I had was on the retirement, the PERS, and how that works. And it's just education for myself. I don't know.
So
The question is the long-term liability as it relates to the district done when we pay into that? It becomes someone else's long-term obligation. Employees pay in, the district pays in, and then it is managed elsewhere, and it is on that entity in which to make sure the coverage and the 7% and other stuff that's mentioned in there for the testing and so forth. But the district at that point's liabilities are limited to what we are obligated to contribute in those retirement plans, or does it work differently than that?
So yes, you are only obligated to pay in the contributions on the payroll. This standard put onto the books kind of your proportionate share of the plan's liability, but the truth is once you've paid in, the DRS is the one on the hook to pay the pension. These are kind of one of these liabilities that I think they're trying to measure expenses that's happening. The truth is if you wanted to pay that, you couldn't. There's nowhere to send a bill and send a check, and nobody will ever send you a bill for it. But the assumption is you continue to pay in with your regular contributions.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I have nothing.
I don't either.
Motion from the board to approve the 2023 financials.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 2023 year-end financials as presented.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
All right.
David.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Moving on to 7B, wastewater treatment plant UV system upgrade.
We'll put it back there somewhere.
All right. I guess I'll take this one. So as you may have heard, we need some new PLC cards in the UV system in order to both maintain them and move into the next era of running and operating that system. The quote for this one has come back in the amount of $64,338.49. This is a sole source vendor, and that they are the manufacturer of our UV system and the only one available to provide those cards by upgrading the current system. So this is recommended by staff for approval. Any questions?
No, and you spoke to this yesterday at
I
the
did.
utility committee meeting in greater depth, so that was very helpful. Thank you.
When they look at the terms and conditions of the sale in the 4 font that they have on here, it's longer than the bid, but yeah, wow. Okay, with that being said, I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the wastewater treatment plant UV system upgrade to Viola, I think that's how they pronounce it, in the amount of $64,338.49.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to 7C, South Lake Business Park variance request.
So this variance is to be able to construct a side sewer that's over 200 feet in length. Our district code does limit side sewer length to 200 feet. There are no, and we do that because we if you have to extend over 200 feet, it makes sense to extend the main closer, where it gets the public portion closer for liability issues. We prefer to be the maintainer. So in this case, there's no adjoining properties that can connect. It's kind of the end of the line for that portion of the sewer segment. So district staff does recommend the variance for approval. We do have some conditions of approval, kind of taking to heart what the commissioners had asked for. Not quite there yet. This is my attempt. We have Jordan working on a more formal issue, but we do have a little bit of an indemnity language in the approved variance, and that the district staff has advised the property owner that side sewers over 200 feet in length do have additional costs if things go bad, and the district is not at all responsible. So yeah, again, district staff does recommend variance for approval.
Where is this business park?
It is on South Lake Stevens Road, kind of in between the daycare there and Burger King
So this is the new development
across.
that's replacing where the city built,
Yeah.
correct? Or is going,
Yeah.
correct? All right.
And I see the conditions of approval down at the very bottom. So it's language there. It's like clear, so I guess with that, I have no other questions.
I mean, you live in this topology. Reaching every nook and cranny sometimes requires some different considerations. I have no issue with it.
And with that, I go ahead and make a motion to approve the South Lake Stevens Business Park variance request as recommended by staff, looked over by legal, and understood by all involved apparently.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 7D, 501 101st Avenue Northeast variance request.
The applicant is requesting a variance from the district code, which wouldn't permit private pump systems and except through variance. Without the variance, the property would not be able to connect to sewer due to topology and other constraints. So the district has looked at this and has worked with the applicant on trying to find a way to get them to sewer. So district staff would recommend the variance for 501 101st Ave Northeast. Again, the condition kind of has our indemnity in there. I think our staff has advised the property owner that this is kind of at their own risk and the district wouldn't be responsible for maintaining or doing any of the maintenance on the private pump system.
The pump system fails, does it just affect that property?
Yeah. And we do put, the way the pump systems are designed, we try to make it easy on staff and the homeowner to be able to troubleshoot and repair. We require an intermediate discharge structure that if sewage isn't backed up from the main to that, we can say it's definitely in the pump. And yeah, so.
I don't have any further questions, Dan.
I know. We have the applicant here, but I think at this point, it's pretty much recommended by staff. So at that point, I'm just going to make a motion to approve the variance request for 501 101st Avenue Northeast as recommended.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to the manager's report.
Okay. Plant flows right now are at 2.967 million gallons a day. The total inorganic nitrogen is at 30% of our annual limit, so 38,384 pounds for the year. Our Caring by Sharing Fund has enough in it to help 3 families, 2 of which I think were being helped this month, so 1 left in that fund. So $386.50. That's all.
Great, thank you so much. And then Jonathan.
To date, we've collected 20 GFCs and 42 permits and have issued 42 permits. Yesterday, we had a pre-bid conference for the BBC office improvements, and there were 4 companies that came interested in the project. So, and we've received interest through emails and talk on our bidding software from a few more. So I think it'll be a bid-rich project. The Cibus lock project that the board approved of a few months ago is complete. We got the last locks on a couple of weeks ago, and staff is adapting to the new smart lock stuff, but doing good. And right now, kind of piggybacking on what was discussed yesterday at the utility committee meeting about the CIPP or pipe replacement and restoration. Currently, our field staff is in the field completing the 50-year and older pipeline inspections. And the reason that part is important is some pipe conditions are not conducive to relining. If there's misaligned joints or holes in the pipe, which I'm hoping that we would have fixed before it got to that point. But there's some substrates, like if the concrete pipe is very aggregated, sometimes the adhesion is not as good as it could be. So would not make a good candidate for CIPP. And I think we will find the most value in trying to identify the lines that the cure in place lining use this first injection of money into the system for CIPP, I think is the best use of our funds, and we'll get the most bang for our buck. And then the next round we can go for pipeline replacements and things like that. So, but it's taking a lot of work, and our GIS coordinator right now is working to make the data we're getting from the CCTV actionable by management. So he's writing custom scripts and trying to extract data and get it into a format that management can use to make decisions. So
That's awesome.
it's been a huge challenge and a lot of custom work going on. So he's doing a great job too.
Wow.
Thanks. Awesome.
Okay, thank you. So no city reports?
I have an email from Gene.
Okay.
And he says business as usual at the city. And the RFP for City Hall remodel and design and the museum design consultant are going out to advertisement in the next couple weeks. And that's it.
I'd love to know the price tag on that. That would be very interesting. All right, moving on to the commissioner's report. We'll begin with Mr. Dan Lorenzen and move down the table.
Okay. Not a whole lot. We had our normal WASWAD, Washington Association of Water and Sewer District, because I'm on the board. I did see the correspondence that came through in regards to some concerns like from the district side. So that's always good to get that kind of feedback so we can, as a board, address those things. Yesterday's meeting, utility meeting, I thought went well. I really appreciated the presentation that the staff gave. I think it was educational. I think it'll help our city partners kind of understand the nuances of what really goes into our self-reporting to DOE, because I think sometimes people make assumptions, and we all know when assumptions occur that could be problematic. Because I think there was a report I saw that went out there in regards for the stormwater stuff that the city had put out that had some assumptions that may not be correct in the context of how it really works. And so I think it was educational. I think everybody walked away with a little more understanding of how these things come in. So I appreciate staff's hard work on that. I think it was great for anybody in the public that wants to view it. They will come away understanding. Yeah. Because I think when you look at face value, sometimes with the words we put out there, it sounds worse than it is. And then when you actually understand it, it's like, oh, okay, that was a little bit about nothing. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay, as far as my report, I thought the 2023 financials looked great and excellent that the debt service will be the same for the next 5 years. I think that's very respectable and something to be proud of. As far as the pipe replacement and restoration, I think that's really exciting to like be proactive and get that as, you know, one of our top priorities, why we raise rates. And I think that will be a great project once things really start hitting the ground. So thank you for all that work to get, you know, the information and research together. And then, Mariah, I also thought that report yesterday at the utility committee meeting was really interesting. And I agree with Dan that, you know, you see that when things go wrong, I mean, it seemed to me so minimal for the size of sewer district that we have. And I was super impressed at how many of the incidents happened on Sunday, and that return time was amazing because, you know, people live their lives on the weekends and such. And it seems like you have a very good system in place for emergency responses. So I thought that was really impressive.
You know, we've talked before about, you know, our mission statement of meeting the challenge of protecting the environment and providing quality service for the community. And the 3 pillars under that we spoke about repeatedly is protect the environment, protect ratepayers, and ensure an engaged and supportive workforce. And that review yesterday was really to the first point, right, in terms of protecting the environment. Yeah, 130 some miles of pipe and a plant and all the complexities, stuff's gonna happen. I mean, stuff's gonna break, and hindsight's always great. There's a cost of redundancy that at some point it doesn't make economic sense, and I think we've found that balance for now. You always have to keep looking and analyzing it, but I thought that was a really on point review as it's specific to our protect the environment piece of it. So I thought that was great. Last time I spoke on the 9th to address Councilman Peters Hagen's question around, are we really going to be debt free? Are we on the trajectory to be debt free by 2033? And the short version of that was yes. And we provided a lot of details there. The one piece I'd like to touch on just in conjunction with that, and this one gets to that second pillar in terms of protecting ratepayer. And last time we talked about, you know, development, case of development, why that relates to the debt and why that's important. And that's what we've heard from our ratepayers who are our owners at the end of the day. I want to talk about rates briefly, and we've touched on this before as well, but it really goes hand in hand with that debt payment. If you have the courage to raise rates in perpetuity, it'd be easy to pay off debt. But when you look back at our track record, and I carry this letter around from the sewer commissioners from 1983, and they talk about raising rates to $36 in 1984. So January 1st, 1984 is $36. And you go back and you look at the rate of inflation, whether you look at amortization.org or inflationtool.com or measurewealth.com or savings.org, the average inflation rate over those 40 years is 2.81%. And you do the math out from 36, where we should be at, just to keep up with inflation, not going beyond inflation, we should be at $108.72. We're at 99.
That's awesome.
You know? And I didn't even take the opportunity to cherry pick the numbers, because if I was going to cherry pick, I would have gone to the $32 rate a month prior, because it would make it 2%. You know, it would amplify the difference. But actually picking it in January, and we had our rate increase a while ago, so we've even had runway within that. So we are, if you that difference between 99 where we're at and 108 is almost 10% difference. And so you take that into account, 40 years of being below the rate of inflation and the debt to be debt free by 2033 is really remarkable. And it's a pair of composite measures of staff efficiency, management efficiency, previous commissioners in terms of setting focus and so forth. And so just, again, a lot of context for kudos around the staff and the work that we do each and every day. It adds up, and it adds up over 40 years. And whether it's our pillar around environment or our pillar around ratepayer or our pillar around making sure we have an engaged workforce, those are things that are important while we're an independent entity. Those are important when we join the city or if we remain an independent entity. So that's everything I got. So thank you.
You know, I just wanted to add on to that in the analysis that you kind of put together. And that was one of the, you know, in the last month when we've had a lot of folks reaching out to the, you know, potential litigation that's been playing out. The one thing that was consistent with the folks that have reached out to me is the sewer district's bill has been consistent, that they can count on knowing what it's going to be from month to month, where they can't seem to rely on that, not just in other, you know, with bills coming in,
Sure.
but especially from a government type agency, you know, whether it's a, you know, power company, phone, electric, this and that. They've said ours has been consistent. They know at least that $99 each month, and they truly appreciated that aspect because it's one thing that at least they can keep in their ongoing, you know, monthly checking accounts that is consistent with. So I think it speaks volumes, as you say.
I mean, it's remarkable to compare it. I mean, I did an analysis in the last levy, and I love Lake Stevens Schools and be on record, I have a family that's employed there. However, if you go back and do the analysis of total cost per child and look at what that total cost is and then map back to inflation, it's way above. And there's reasons for that, but it's way above. Same kind of analysis that we consistent with what we're looking at here. So it's not easy. I mean, it's really, really hard is what that tells me. Not that someone's done a good job, bad job. It's really, really difficult. And so you look at other things like utility taxes and fire district levies and all of that, and it makes it even more remarkable.
Well, we're fortunate in the sewer district. We have one sole purpose.
That's right. It's focus.
It's focused.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't travel outside our lane. So we do quite well with what we do. I want to thank staff for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you. So I believe no executive session today, unless you have something, Jordan.
I don't, no.
Well, this is wonderful. It's so nice to be back to business. Great, so that looks like it's it.
Yeah, I make a motion to conclude this fine meeting.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
See ya.
Appreciate it. It was
Nice
good
seeing ya.
seeing you.
Take care.